It's time to round up a big topic from the week. With Adrian Garcia trying to become Houston's next mayor, there's a new sheriff in town now, Ron Hickman. Hickman was the Precinct 4 constable for the last 14 years. As sheriff now, his immediate plans are to tackle the jail issue. An investigation revealed the mistreatment of a jail inmate. Now a Harris County commissioner wants to go a step further in improving the jail system by splitting the sheriff's responsibility and appointing a director over the jail. Shaking up the sheriff's duties, that's our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in our newsroom is our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Valley. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So what do you think? Should the sheriff just be in charge of investigating and police activity, and we should have somebody else over the jail?
This is one of those knee-jerk government reactions to a specific set of facts that really turns out to be a bad idea at the end of the day. Splitting this up takes the sheriff out of the protection of these inmates when they're traveling to and from the courthouse, while they're in the courthouse attending court appearances. It's just really fraught with a lot of problems. And as sad as it is that they had this really bad problem with this inmate, it's an isolated incident. Sheriff Garcia's worked for his entire administration to improve the jail, has gone miles to improve the jail conditions and the situation in the jail, reduce overcrowding. To take that away, I think, would be a very, very bad idea, Jackie Valley.
Hold back on your opinion, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, if they didn't do something, though, if they were not proactive in trying to address this problem, then we would criticize them for that. So I'm going to at least say kudos to our commissioners for trying to be proactive, looking at the issue and trying to come up with new ways to resolve it. And also, whenever they interviewed potential candidates to replace Adrian Garcia, they did say they wanted someone who would look outside of the box and who would come up with innovative ideas to come up with some resolutions to some of these problems. There is no precedent in the state of Texas where this has been done. If you want to look at an example, you have to go to California, and what they did was they hired a jail administrator, just like we're talking about here, but that person still reported to the sheriff.
California?
Yes,
Jackie,
believe it or not.
You say that?
I know. And the real question is this legal or not? And that's something that Vince Ryan is looking into, because our Constitution says that the sheriff is actually the keeper of the jail. So that's really going to be the big question. I mean, even though we're looking at it, can it be legally done?
The sheriff could easily hire a jail administrator to report to him, and then you don't have a constitutional issue, and you have an administrator running the jail. That will make the commissioners happy.
Well, you do have a command staff person that's responsible to oversee the jail with every single sheriff. The part of leadership is asking the right question, and I'm not sure if we're asking the right question about separating the jobs. The issue is that a quarter of the jail population has a mental health problem. We run the largest mental health institution in the state of Texas. That is what drives a lot of the issues in the jail.
It's the biggest mental health facility in the country.
Yeah, and so I think that rather than focusing on, like, how do we separate the jobs, I think the commissioners might take a look at saying, what do we do to address it? Adrian Garcia has done a lot to address it, but a lot more work has to be done. We have to, as the Chronicle says, we have to build on the success that he's already started.
And real quick before we go to Sally, if you had a separate administrator administering the jail, that doesn't mean this incident wouldn't have happened, because just like Sheriff Garcia, this administrator is not going to walk through and examine every cell in Harris County every day.
Well, possibly, but you would have another set of eyes and ears, someone else who can look at another area, and then, like they were saying, have the sheriff just focus on policing and investigations.
Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, we're taking a look at Chris Tritico's Facebook page for a comment here. This one from Joe. He says the sheriff should not be released from jail responsibility, but I would not be opposed to having a jail administrator being hired, running the jail system, and then reporting to the sheriff. What would have to happen to actually make this become a reality? Because isn't it against state law right now for this to happen, to have two people involved?
I don't think if the sheriff hired someone and said, you are in charge of the jail and you report to me, that would not violate the Constitution, because he's not giving up any authority. He's merely delegating authority, which he has every right to do. That would not be unconstitutional. The unconstitutional part would be if Commissioner's Court said, you will hire an administrator that will only report to us.
That's correct.
And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if they've kind of thought this through. Jail is a volatile place. I mean, you have 9,000 inmates that we keep. That means we serve 27,000 meals per day. It is the largest pharmacy in the state of Texas. And if that position reported to them, they'd be firing people every other week. It is a difficult job. There's a reason for why it's under the elected sheriff. Adrian Garcia has done a good job. They've taken one issue and for whatever reason they're trying to politicize it. But regardless of that, I think that I'm glad that they're thinking about this. I rather they ask the question of how do we reduce the mental health population in the Harris County Jail. I think that answer to that question will solve a lot of problems.
Ed Emmett's been on top of that for several years
Yes, he
now
has.
on that mental health issue.
Yes,
It's very
he has.
personal to him, and he's worked very diligently to get something done. But the problem is in Harris County, Texas, we can't fix the mental health problem when the legislatures at the state level won't fund it.
Well, we need more funding in that area. Yes, that's definitely a given. But the fact that they want to take mental health away and put it in a separate department or compartment, I do agree with that because we do need to have more focus on that. And having someone specifically addressing that and maybe information technology, those were the two areas that we saw with the jail. I think that would be more of a you would have more micromanagement. And then to answer your question directly, when things like this would come up in the future, hopefully it won't, but if it would, you'd have another person, another set of eyes and ears looking at it, and it could be addressed quickly and corrected quickly.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in just about 30 minutes, talk about an idiot in Austin.